Hey Nori, it's your FUNcle Brandon here. Well Nori, thanks for tuning in for the FUNcle Brandon bedtime hour. Well Nori, tonight I thought I'd read you one of my favourite stories that I used to read when Erin and Sienna were little girls. I'm going to read you the story about the little snail. Once upon a time, Nori, there was a big tree in the garden, and in the tree lived all the snails. And then when the sun would go down at night time and the moon would come up, all the little snails would come out and they'd look for something to eat and look for something to drink. But there was a little tiny snail, and the little tiny snail, he would come out of the tree and he would try and go as fast as he could, but all the big snails were so much faster than the little snail. And then as the sun would come up, all the snails would be going back into the tree to live, and the little snail didn't get anything to eat because he was too small to get to the food and get to the water. So one day the little snail was there laying in his bed, and the sun was going down and the moon was coming up, and the little snail started to cry. And then a big friendly snail went over to the little snail and said, "Why are you crying, little snail? We're going to go outside, we're going to get some food, look at the moon, get something to drink, and we're going to come back." And the little snail said, "But every time I try and I try and I try, and I'm just so small that I can't get to the food and I can't get a drink. And then I turn around and come back because the sun comes up, and I go to bed and I'm hungry." Well, the big snail thought, "I have an idea." The big snail said, "Why don't you hop onto my back and I will take you to the stream and you can get a little drink. And then hop on my back and I will take you to the field and we'll get something to eat. And then hop on my back and then we'll come back to the tree." So, as the sun went down and the moon came up, the little snail jumped on the big snail's back, and they got to the stream, and he hopped off and he had a little drink, and the big snail had a drink, and the big snail said, "Are you ready, little snail?" And the little snail said, "Yes, I am ready." And he hopped onto his back, and they went to the field, and they hopped off his back, and the little snail was eating, and the big snail was eating, and the big snail said, "Well, little snail, have you had enough to eat?" And the little snail said, "Yes, I have." So he hopped back on his back, and they got back into the tree as the moon went down and the sun came up. And the little snail got in his bed, and his belly was full, and he had such a good night's sleep because he had all of his food and all of his water. And every night that big snail would go to the little snail and give him a lift on his back, and then one day that little snail become a big snail, and he could do it all on his own. The end. Now, that's a special FUNcle Brandon story that only 2 other little girls know about, and now you. And remember, Nori, FUNcle Brandon loves you.